Hello, I'm back in the bee yard again today, and today I'm going to be supering, which adding another box of frames to these bees. They overwintered on 4 medium boxes, and a few weeks back I came out here and found them only to be really in one box and part of another. So I'd removed 2 frames of boxes, or 2 boxes of frames from them, and let them manage this space this spring a little better. Now they are just almost, and I mean just almost, ready for this next box to be added. But I am scheduled to leave for work, and I'm gonna be gone for 2 weeks, possibly. And right now in my yard, I already have dandelions blooming, and some of the fruit trees are starting to swell up their buds. So in that 2 weeks time, there could be a lot of things happening here in Indiana with the fruit trees blooming and all kinds of spring flowers coming on. So if these bees get cramped in this space, they will prepare to start sending off swarms of bees, and I don't want that to happen. I want to give them plenty of space. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to give them back some of those frames that I took from them earlier, and I've stored them in the freezer for a few days each, and then they're warm now. But to kill any eggs from pests that might be in those frames, I've kept them 3 days in a freezer, and so they're ready now to go back to these bees. Now, what some people will do is just stack them on top of these boxes and let the bees move up into them. In a natural cavity of a tree, bees will be up where their honey is, or close to where their honey is, and that's where they will raise their young. And as they bring more and more honey into that hive, they will fill the top of that hive and gradually move down. As the young hatch out, new eggs will be laid down low, and this area up in here will all be starting to be filled with honey. And they'll just move down until they run out of space. When they do run out of space and the whole top is honey, they will swarm off. Some will swarm off, and hopefully the bees left behind will successfully raise a queen, and she will manage it the rest of that season and through the winter. Now through the winter, that group of bees will slowly go back up through the hive as they eat those stores of honey out. Hopefully there's enough honey in there that as they get to the top and they return clear up to the top, there's just a little bit of honey left in the spring, and the whole process starts over again. So I'm just a small-time beekeeper, so I can do this. Most big-time commercial beekeepers won't do it this way. I'm going to add my new frames underneath and let them do that more natural move down. So I've got some clean frames that they've already drawn out. It already has wax in it. It's ready for them to go. They should be happy just to continue to move on down. And so everything's going to be very fast. I'm going to go ahead and check these Swiffer sheets that I've put in here to hopefully catch some small hive beetles that I found. So very quickly, I'm going to put frames underneath these hives and check these traps for beetles. And then hopefully in 2 weeks, I haven't lost a swarm to the spring season. So anytime I put new frames on, I always have in that, I use medium 8-frame hives for everything. Again, I'm just a small-time beekeeper. A big commercial beekeeper doesn't usually do it that way. They use big boxes for the brood where the bees live, and then they'll use mediums for honey storage, but almost always they are 10 frames wide. I just decided it was easier for me for everything to be the same, and that's just the way I do it. But one thing I do that a lot of other people don't do, whenever I put a new 8 frames on, a few of them will always be just empty frames. Now a lot of people will put a foundation piece in here to help them with their building of wax, but I don't. I let them build whatever size they want. If you can see, there's one little strip right here that hangs down lower I've often put in a popsicle stick in where the slot is where you would normally put foundation, and it just hangs down just that little bit lower. The bees will hang from that, and they will just draw out their natural comb, and as long as this is hanging pretty true, pretty plumb in the hive, they will build a nice wax, and they will even most of the time attach it to the bottom. I'd say about 80% of the time for me, they attach it to the bottom, and it's if it does get, for some reason they'll draw drone comb in there. The hive will always want a percentage of their comb to be drone comb. They're going to draw it out. You can't stop them from doing it. But maybe they'll draw out a whole entire frame of drone comb. I can just take a knife and cut it right on out and give it back to them and let them start over again. I know I already have drone comb in this hive, and so chances are they're going to draw out all worker comb in this. But as a small-time beekeeper, this is a great trick. Saves you money if you've got the time to keep your hives plumb and straight, so that they draw the wax plumb and straight. One other thing is, when I do have these stored and I know they're not going to be used for a long time, these all, you can see the burn on them. These have all been scorched with a weed burner, and that kills any fungus or pest eggs, and it just makes for a better storage for me. And they're not as attracted to other pests when they smell. But bees do not mind the smell of that scorch. I've even heard that they do prefer a lightning struck tree with that scorch burn on the inside of a hollow. I don't know, but they don't mind it. And if you look right there, there is one hive beetle on the top of this. Its little legs are trapped in there, so I'm going to kill it, and I'm going to check the bottom side of it. Okay, so the good news for this hive is there was only one small hive beetle stuck in these traps. So now I'm going to lift the hive, put a new super underneath, and this hive will be done, closed up, and it'll be good for a couple weeks till I get home from my trip. And as you can see, I've got an empty, and I always like to put those in between two frames that are already drawn out. And that too will help keep the bees drawing this one in a nice straight line in between these two that are already drawn out. So I've got a couple empties in here. I've got some already drawn out. And those bees should be just fine filling up and cleaning up this space. So that was it. It took longer to talk about it than to do it. I put an extra brick on here because we are supposed to get some very high winds tonight. And whenever you break these open, you break that propolis that they put in there, and it kind of sticks everything together. The bees put it in there, and hives can easily be blown over in the wind. So a little extra weight, the wind won't harm it. So I'm going to do the same thing to this next hive. If I see anything different, more hive beetles or whatever, I'll let you see it. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.